Dear listener, let me take you back to the fall of 2013 to Edinburgh, Scotland. I decided to continue my studies abroad, and that year I wound up in the Scottish capital, completely by accident. I would end up staying there for 5 years, renting a small apartment on the outskirts of the city. And to this day, I look back fondly on that little apartment, as that's where I discovered two new loves that I cherish to this day. First of all, I live close to Tynecastle, the football stadium of Hearts FC. As a new resident of Scotland and a long-time goalkeeper myself, I felt it was important to become a fan of a Scottish football club. I of course knew about Celtic and the Glasgow Rangers, but because of the stadium's proximity and charm, I chose this small club that has come oh so close to winning the Scottish title this year. I also discovered the joy of Murrayfield in that suburb. For those who don't know, Murrayfield is the Scottish rugby mecca, a massive ode to a sport I unfortunately can't discuss any further here. But every spring, when the Six Nations tournament began again, the singing from Murrayfield echoed right through to my apartment. Time and time again, one song stood out above all the rest: The Flower of Scotland. The song itself refers to the Battle of Bannockburn in 1314. You can actually compare it to the Battle of the Golden Spurs here in Flanders. You've got your band of Scottish troops winning, against all odds, the battle against the English army full of knights. And this is above else the era of legendary Scots. Just think of William Wallace and Robert de Bruce, amongst others. And very importantly, a period of English enemies. That's because the song is directed against one figure in particular, the English King Edward II, or Proud Edward, as he's called in the song. It illustrates how Scottish history has always been intertwined with that of the English. You can even see that in the flowers that the two nations have chosen as symbols. The English have the rose, and the Scots have the perfect antidote to the rose, the thistle. So the song has everything you'd expect from a standard national anthem. You've got your nod to a golden age, you've got your eternal enemy, and a hopeful message and a look towards the future. The only problem, the song has no official status as a national anthem. In fact, no anthem on the British Isles has the legal status of a national anthem. This shows the ambiguity of national symbols on the island, an issue that resurfaces at every sporting event, because time and again a decision has to be made. Do we present ourselves collectively as British, or separately as English, Welsh, Scottish, and Northern Irish? And even in football, there is no clear-cut answer. During this World Cup, you'll see England and Scotland competing separately. But at the next Olympic Games, it's perfectly normal for the Scot Andrew Robertson and the Englishman Jordan Henderson to suddenly play together again on Team GB. And this, of course, raises the question to what extent such a national anthem actually represents the country or nation, and if so, which one specifically? This complex symbolism, by the way, is evident not only on the field, but also next to it. The Tartan Army is probably, next to our orange neighbours of course, one of the most recognizable fan bases during this World Cup. Dressed in their classic Scottish symbols, with of course the kilts being the most recognizable, the Tartan Army has enjoyed an impeccable reputation for some 40 years now. 2001, for example, the Belgian Olympic Committee presented an award to the Scottish fans. The committee was so impressed by the fans, who continued to celebrate despite the heavy loss, that they awarded them that year's Fair Play Awards. And this year again, the media is focusing on the positive vibes Scottish fans are bringing to the World Cup, showing images of Scots singing, dancing, or just chugging some beers. That positive impression, however, didn't come out of nowhere. Starting from the 1980s, the Tartan Army began making a concerted effort to polish its own image. And that has a lot to do with their southern neighbours. Because during this time, English hooligans were notorious in the football world. Just like the Thistle and the Rose, the Tartan Army's image as a positive fan base is inextricably linked to that of the English fans, and in particular the negative perception of the English hooligans. But despite all the complexities on the British Isles, one thing is certain. Win or lose, the Scots keep on singing, even when they run out of beer.
As Kas, her example illustrates, alongside the personal connection people have with such a song, there is a whole history behind it. Someone wrote it, music was composed for it refers to historical events, and it reflects the typical, in inverted commas, national culture. And that is why, with a view to the 2026 Men's World Cup, our aim was to bring together all the national anthems of the 48 participating countries on an accessible platform. And so, Nathan, which stands for National Anthems, was born. Throughout this process, we examined each national anthem and its history in detail. We included the full lyrics, its date of origin, and the language, or in some cases languages, in which it was written, and then linked those to the correct composers. In this way, we were able to map out a fascinating network. This yielded some interesting results, but if I had to name one in particular, it would be that there is very little that is national about such a national anthem. Many of those songs have, in one way or another, an international component. To give a few examples, the music for the Japanese national anthem was composed by a German, and the South African national anthem is an embodiment of the country's imperialist history. This is because it brings together the 5 different languages of all the peoples who have lived there. For instance, there is an English section, a Zulu section, and an Afrikaner section. But perhaps the most important thing of all is simply the fact that you, dear listener, can quickly look up the lyrics to the national anthem. So if the Red Devils don't sing along at the start, you can do so now. So head over to the website of National Movements and Intermediary Structures in Europe, or simply NIDE, and have a go with our new platform. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Academy of Football Culture.
Universiteit Antwerpen. Bepaal mee de toekomst.